Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, before we start the meeting, we're going to swear in the new canine police dog and officer. All right. Alright, Chief, we're gonna try it. We're gonna pump it. Alright.
Too much going on. Okay. There we go.
Alright. Officer Merrifield, on behalf of Bain, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Bain,
I, Bain,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the laws of the Charter of the City of Wickliffe,
and the laws of the Charter of the City of Wickliffe,
and that I will, in all respects,
and that I will in all respects
faithfully discharge my duties
faithfully discharge my duties
as a canine police dog
as a canine police dog
of the City of Wickliffe Police Department
of the City of Wickliffe Police Department
during my continuance in said office.
during my continuance in said office.
Congratulations. This is on behalf of the city here, and I just need signatures. You can do that over here. There's two that we need. Dan has to sign these.
Oh, okay. I was going to say I can put his hawker on there.
And then that will be your copy. Thank you, guys.
Making it very difficult for me, but at least you know why Dad's not looking at it.
Welcome to the force.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. Okay, I call to order the Wickliffe City Council meeting of November 14th, 2022. Sandy, please call the roll.
Stella.
Here.
Gerhardstein.
Here.
Jaworski.
Here.
Kowski. Here. Levon.
Here.
Saloto.
Excuse.
Thielman.
Here.
Approval of council minutes.
I make a motion we approve the council minutes.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerhardstein, seconded by Councilman Kowski, that the council meeting minutes of October 24th, 2022 be approved as presented. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Ballard.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski. Yes. Levon.
Yes.
Thielman.
Yes.
Reports and communications from the Mayor, Safety Director.
Thank you, Council President. Good evening, everyone. First, I would like to say Greater Cleveland Film Commission was here this afternoon to check out locations for a movie they will be doing. And they wanted to see some parts of the city, locations around the city, and City Hall. So I thought it was a nice positive thing. And the Provo House demolition is complete. We will begin to look into how we will revitalize this area. Councilman Gerhardstein and Ron will, head up a lot of it, and Ray is looking into grants for that as well. Recently, Mayors Morley, Regovich, and myself met with the school superintendent, Specia, to discuss the 10-year plan for students following graduation and how we can extend this county-wide. It would help with both workforce and with students looking for careers if they choose not to go to college. On November 3rd, I participated in a panel discussion with all the mayors of Western Lake County and with area realtors. The mayors and I answered questions with regard to economic development, resident services, point of sale inspections, and other items of interest. Also, last Monday, council met and we discussed the temporary budget for 2023, which covers the first 3 months of the year. A final budget must be in place by March 31st. I believe the council president will be calling a meeting of the finance committee to discuss the budget soon. And the ordinance for the temporary budget is on tonight's agenda. And also, Council President, can I, for a call executive
We can do it during
session?
the amendments or
Okay,
additions to the agenda.
excellent. And that's all I have.
Any questions or comments for the mayor? Councilman Gerritstein.
Mayor, I just would like if we could acknowledge the Lake County Sea of Blue and the residents of the city of Wickliffe and the businesses in the city that sponsored the purchase and the equipment for canine baying for the city.
Oh, absolutely, and that's kind of why I wanted to do that tonight, and I put a post on for people to tune in. Yes, that's why we did it, because the residents have as much part of this canine and the businesses for their push to do that, so absolutely, and
Without
Sea of Blue.
organizations like the Sea of Blue, that project wouldn't have got off the ground.
Right, it was a costly thing, and everybody got
Just
behind
wanted to
it.
acknowledge them.
No, I appreciate you saying that, thank you.
Any further questions or comments for the mayor, safety director? Thank you, Mayor. Reports and communications from the director of law.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. I'm pleased to announce to council that I received notification last week that another lawsuit the city was involved in was dismissed by the plaintiffs with prejudice. It was a police case of Amanda Zimmerman versus City of Wickliffe, and all the parties have been dismissed with prejudice, which means they can't refile. So it's always good news when we get a letter like that. And that's all I have.
Any questions or comments for the law director? Thank you, Scott. Communications from the council president. I have none. Amendments or additions to the agenda, Mayor?
Yes, I'd like to call for an executive session on personnel after tonight's council meeting.
Okay, we will add executive session, personnel to line item 19 on the agenda and move adjournment to line item 20.
Thank you.
Any other amendments or additions to the agenda? Councilman Jaworski.
I'd like to add under new business B, gasoline powered safety vehicles.
Okay, we'll add gasoline-powered safety vehicles to new business B. Are there any other amendments or additions to the agenda? Seeing none, move on to administrators. Police Chief Ice.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to echo the comments by Councilman Gerritstein. We raised over $75,000 at the Sea of Blue. The largest contributor was True Line. They paid for the donation for about half the cost. But also many donations, small donations from local residents. And that's what made it possible. We had a little bit of money extra that we use for buying accoutrements as we move along. That's all that I would have for tonight.
Any questions or comments for the police chief? Thank you, Chief Ice. Fire Chief Powers.
Thank you, Council President. I'd just like to acknowledge my appreciation for the Civil Service Commission. They just completed an entry-level test for us, and we will start that processing of candidates here in the next week or two. That's all I have, sir.
Any questions or comments for the fire chief? Thank you, Chief Powers. Finance Director Doles.
Thank you, Council President. The only thing that I would like to mention about my monthly report is that the general fund carryover at the end of October was $7.3 million. So that's all I have for tonight.
Any questions or comments for the Finance Director? Thank you, Ms. Doles. Engineer Formica.
Thank you, Council President. One thing to add to my written report, Lakeland Boulevard paving, the final surface course is scheduled for this week. Obviously, that's weather dependent, but if the temperatures stay as they're predicted and we don't get that much moisture, rain or snow, I think we're gonna be in good shape. Fingers crossed.
Is that it?
That's it.
Any questions or comments for the city engineer? Councilman Bala.
So how low could it go in still?
Technically, per the state specifications, the surface temperature has to be 40 degrees minimum in order to put down the asphalt. So, you can always hope for a good week next. Maybe it'll warm up next week, but right now we're there. It's just not the air temperature; it's the surface temperature, and that usually stays warmer than the air right now. So, we're still good.
Okay, thanks.
Councilman Gerritstein.
You have, I don't know if it's a question for you or for Ron, any word on the opening of Warden Road?
Yes, Ron talked to
Okay.
the contractor last week, so I'll let him talk.
Okay.
Talk about during his report. Any other questions or comments for the city engineer? Thank you, Pete.
Thank you.
Service Director Strauss.
Thank you, Council President. I guess first I wanted to start off with our leaf progress. We did make it through October. We made it around the city 3 times. We're working on finishing up our 5th time around the city. Leaves are going slow right now. They all fell at one time. This last round took us 2 weeks to get around the city one time. So the leaves, we're getting a few complaints from the residents, but not too much. I just keep telling them, and if anybody has anything, just tell them, as long as their leaves are out by December 2nd, they will be picked up. That's our, suppose our cutoff date, but if they're out by that date, I will continue to go through the city one more time at that date. The snow over the weekend put us behind a little bit today. We didn't get a whole lot of progress done. I think we only did 6 streets today with 2 crews out, just because the snow was creating ice issues and all kinds of things. The Provo House, I did want to mention, the Provo House is just about nearing completion. They have to bring in some topsoil and topsoil it all off. They actually did take out a little bit more of the driveway than we had originally anticipated. I guess it was mostly because their big machines did damage to it and stuff, so sometime in the future, we're gonna have to put in a driveway and access to our cemetery again, which kind of nice. It'll give us a clean slate to start off with, but it was, we were gonna try and save some of that rear parking lot and stuff like that did not end up happening. Good news, the Ginger Walking Path is just about finished. It's all wrapped up. They have a little bit of topsoil stuff issues, and I believe actually the service department's gonna do some of that. Sherbrooke Drive is finished, as you know, Fairway's finished, so there is some good news that we've been making some progress. As far as the Warden Road underpass, I talked to the guy last week. He said everything is still on schedule, so right now they are still doing the retaining wall on the north side of that freeway abutment, the new part of the bridge. They are still working on that. There was actually 5 guys working on the bridge today, I saw them. And so they're finishing that up, and they are still on schedule to be done by the end of the month. Have the road 2-way. They're going to continue to work after that, but 2-way traffic should be open again by the end of this month. That was the latest I heard as of last week. That's it.
Any questions or comments for the service director? Councilman Garrett's time.
Ron, is there any, I know it's short notice, I mean, we started on the budget, working on it. Is there any way to get some numbers, maybe with you and Pete, so we could add the improvements to the Provo House to the budget for next year? And be able to give council an idea what will it take to put that back the way you want it?
Yeah, I know you and I had talked about, doing the flagpole and some other little things there, but I think that we're gonna have to, we can discuss that in the budget meeting. I would certainly think.
If you guys should maybe get some numbers before, I mean, we have January, so we can focus, get that in the budget for next year.
Okay. Yep. Not a problem.
Any further questions or comments for the service director? Thank you, Ron. Building Commissioner Sack.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. The only thing I have to add to my report is the scanning is coming along very good with all my files, and it's a lot of intense work for them, so it'll work out good when it's all done.
Any questions or comments for the Building Commissioner? Councilwoman Kowski.
I will say I was upstairs in the building department today asking to see a file, and boy, is there a lot of paper in there. Everything is stuffed. So yes, I believe it's going to be a lot of work to scan all that. I was looking at my house, and it goes all the way, the file goes all the way back to when it was built in the 60s, so it's a lot of paperwork.
Mayor?
Yeah, right, so I was telling him earlier about the is it the CDBG
Yes.
grant for funding? I don't know if driveway or any, that could be.
I talked to Rhea Benton, and she says some of that stuff like the ADA ramp and those requirements, we should be able to get a grant for that, so.
So I need help.
I need it, once they get a drawing together, then I can submit it to her with grant. Thank you.
Any further questions or comments for the building commissioner? Councilman Gerstein.
So Ray, last year we talked about your files. Are you gonna have those all done, or is that just partial?
They will not be all done this year. I'll need the other, because we had anticipated 30,000, so I only have 15 this year, and I asked for the other 15 for next year.
Okay, so we're gonna finish your files in the next year's budget?
Yes.
Okay, that's why I was just making sure, because I remembered we didn't fund the whole thing.
Yes.
All right, thanks.
Any further questions or comments for the building commissioner? Thank you, Rick. Recreation Director, stop.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. Just one thing to add to my written report. We have our annual Thanksgiving turkey hunt on Saturday, 11:30. Meet behind the meet behind City Hall in the gazebo, and we do it rain, shine, or snow. So it's probably going to be a pretty cold day on Saturday. So bundle up, and hopefully they don't track me to find the stuff, because it's going to be probably some snow on the ground. So, but, that's it.
Any questions or comments for the Recreation Director? Councilman Ballard.
You still need volunteers to help out?
Yes. Sure. Yes. It'd be quick.
Any other questions or comments for the Recreation Director? Thank you, Tim. The Economic Development Manager is excused. I will now open the floor for audience participation. If anyone would like to address Wickliffe City Council, please stand, state your name and address for the clerk's record. Each person will have a 5-minute maximum amount of time. The council clerk has a microphone if needed. Would anyone like to address Wickliffe City Council? Would anyone like to address Wickliffe City Council? Go ahead, Mr. Feinrich.
Morning. Thank you. Two things real quick. One is thank you for the leaf pickup. I was talking to somebody Tuesday there, at the state at Mount Carmel, and they were very thankful about the city doing that. So thank you for doing that. Appreciate that. And second, I want to thank Councilwoman Koski for being a precinct election official, a poll worker at Mount Carmel. She did a great job, and I appreciate the government officials getting involved and stuff like that. It shows to people that people are involved that you guys care. So thank you very much.
Would anyone else like to address Wickliffe City Council? Mr. Serrano?
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Members of council, mayor, my name is Jerry Serino. It's nice to be among so many familiar faces here. I wanted to I asked the mayor if I could come tonight, as I'm doing all around my new Senate district, which will take effect in January, to get introduced to members of council and the staffs. And so, obviously, having been your county commissioner for 4 years, I'm quite familiar with this area, but I did want to make sure I came by to tell you a little bit about what kind of activity we're going to be having starting in January. So first of all, I don't know how much you paid attention to the changing of the district maps for the Senate and the House in Ohio. It's a long story and 4 different versions of maps, but the bottom line is that the districts that we now have changed all of our representation areas. And so I am delighted that previously, in fact, as of right now, for the balance of this year, I only represent half of Lake County, most of Geauga, and all of Portage County. That's Senate District 18. Starting in January, I will no longer represent any part of Geauga or Portage County, but I will have all of Lake County. Right now, I don't have Western Lake County, certainly. And the eastern and southern suburbs, most of them of Cuyahoga County, all the way out to Independence and Brecksville, Solon, and along 271 in most of the communities as well. So I'm actually, because I live in Lake County, I'm delighted that Western Lake County is now going to be rolled into my representation. I've spent a lot of time in this county and believe I understand the needs of our various political subdivisions. We'll be starting soon. Mayor and I have already had a couple of conversations about some projects. The budget process starts pretty much January 1st. I will be, just so you know which committees I'll be serving on, I will be chairman of the Senate Higher Education and Workforce Development Committee. I'm currently vice chair. I will likely be appointed vice chair of the Finance Committee, which is the Senate's voice in spending the $75 billion biennium budget. from which all of the projects that everybody wants to have done will come from. And Local Government Committee and the Ways and Means Committee, which deals with tax issues, many of, in fact, which impact local communities, particularly chartered cities. So you will have very good representation through my office on the various important committees as bills come out, and I will be seeking your input on issues, whether it's a law enforcement issue, if it's a fire issue, or budget issues. We'll certainly look to have very close dialogue in the communities with my office. I am just about to finish my second year as a senator. You're allowed to have 2 consecutive terms, 4-year terms. So I'm just starting the second half in January of my first term. So I'll be around for a while. God willing, if I stay healthy, I'll be another 6 years or so representing this District 18 in the Senate. My priorities, just very quickly, are economic development. That's what I focused on when I was county commissioner. Public safety is also a very critical need for me, and education at all levels. We have, as you probably hear from your businesses all the time, we have workforce development issues in this state, in everything from private businesses, for-profit companies, to not-for-profit organizations. People are having difficulty finding workers. And we have to adjust our educational system, K through 12 and at the post-secondary level. And those are many of the things that we're trying to work on to make sure that companies come to Ohio and that companies that are already here can expand here and that they have access to the workforce that they need in order to keep our communities economically vibrant. So we will be having lots of discourse over the course of the next couple of years in this session. And again, I never promise anyone that we will definitely get a project funded, but what I will promise you is that projects that are well thought out and well presented get an awfully good hearing under my tutelage, because I take representing my communities very, very seriously. So I look forward to going into details, Mayor, with some of the projects that we've talked about. I'd be happy to answer any questions if anybody would have any of me at this point. Great. Great. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Would anyone else like to address Wickliffe City Council? Would anyone else like to address Wickliffe City Council? If not, I'll mark audience participation closed. Committee reports. The Finance Committee met at 7 o'clock on November 7th, 2022 for the purpose of the 2023 temporary budget. Present, Bala, Gerhardstein, Jaworski, Koski, Levant, Slodo, Thielman. Also present, Sakis, Ice, Formica, Strouser, Doles, Drake, Stott, Powers. Finance Director Doles presented the 2023 temporary budget. She relayed to council that the annual budget will change once she has more discussions with the administration. Some items on the budget are fully funded in the temporary budget, while most are only on a quarter of the expected annual expense. Mayor Sakis reminded the committee that prices are skyrocketing this year due to inflation. No member of the committee had any objections to the presented temporary budget. The committee recommends the council that it approve the 2023 temporary budget. This item is reported out of committee. Meeting adjourned at 7:09, respectfully submitted. The Economic Development meeting, committee met on November 7th. Meeting began at 7:12. Present, Levon, Gerhardstein, Bala, Thielman, Koski, Jaworski, Slodo. Also in attendance, Mayor Sakis, Ice, Powers, Strouser, Doles, Formica, Drake, Stop. The topic was the review of the Economic Development Study and its final recommendations. Slodo opened up sharing a copy of final recommendations and asked that we tackle each subject with prioritization of importance. She and Ms. Drake feel that our zoning will be the first to hinder us when development comes knocking at the city's door. Slodo suggested that council consider a mixed-use zoning overlay that can allow for simplified new projects moving forward. Revamping of our entire zoning would be time-consuming and costly. Koski interjected that she found the entire study provided no real benefit and was a waste of money. Slodo responded that this is an unfortunate viewpoint and that many of the suggestions made in the study will be very valuable to the city. She also stated that as we all know, now hold the completed study in our hands, it is incumbent upon us as a council to implement these suggestions one by one in order to better the city. We do not need to waste the opportunity again. Councilman Jaworski then stated that he does not think we should be allowing anything new besides industrial growth. Others discussed that it is important to bring in appropriate housing along with business growth. Councilman Thielman also stated that he has seen various overlay type zoning arrangements within other cities. Mr. Formica then shared that with respect to the look of Euclid Avenue, he would like to propose a micro mill paving renewal project. He also will be checking to see if our completed economic development plan could be utilized to apply for more NOACA funds. Drake will be checking into other cities and their overlaying zoning concepts. This topic will remain in committee. The meeting is adjourned at 7:50. Respectfully submitted. Councilwoman Koski.
The Safety Committee met November 7th at 7:52 p.m. to discuss capital requests. Present: Balagay, Hartstein, Jaworski, Koski, Levon, Sloto, Thielman. Also present: Sakis, Ice, Formica, Strausser, Doles, Powers, Drake, and Stock. Fire Chief Powers reviewed his 2023 capital requests. Firefighting gear is required by the federal government to be less than 10 years old. The request is for 4 sets at a total cost of $9,800. LifePak heart monitor defibrillators are nearly 15 years old and need replacing. There is currently a buy one get one deal, so the cost would be $49,000 for 2. LifePak measures blood pressure, oxygen saturation, and tells whether someone is having a heart attack. It will take 9 to 14 months from date of purchase to receive the monitors. They are not stocked items and are made when ordered. The SUV funds can be used toward the purchase of these monitors. Finance Director Doles agreed that 2 for $49,000 is a fiscally responsible decision. Future apparatus set-aside funding is for future replacement. Currently having $100,000 in the account, the request would be for adding another $100,000. Chief Powers said 2026 is the next planned purchase for a $1.3 million ladder truck. The current one was purchased in 1999 and they are limiting its use to extend its life. The city has 6 AEDs and all are maintained by the fire department. They are in all city buildings and at the pools. 2 need to be purchased each year since they have a 7-year lifespan. They cost $3,200 for 2. The fire station parking lot needs to be repaired. The request is for joint replacement of the driveways and parking lots. Ed Levon asked what areas specifically. It was told north and east. Matt was thankful Chief Powers was specific in his requests and included model numbers. There was discussion about the necessity of vehicle replacement. Matt wanted to know if it was possible to get another 100,000 miles out of the current SUV, since most Americans are getting between 150 and 200,000 miles out of their cars. Ron Strausser thinks it's possible to get another year or 2. The current SUV does not have hard miles like a police squad car is driven. Departments try to space out larger requests. The fire chief's car was to go to the mayor's car to the police department, and theirs to the golf course. The golf course's vehicle is falling apart. They need a vehicle for purchasing and transporting supplies such as hay, gas cans, and fertilizer. Randy Hartstein believes that since we have more mechanics than in the past, that we should be able to get another year or 2 for $5,000 to $8,000 versus spending $50,000 on a new car. Ed stated that if the mayor wants a new car, he should recommend it, even if that's now not how it was done in the past, and council could discuss it at that time. Police capital requests. Police Chief Ice discussed the request for 2 replacement vehicles. There is currently a car with a replaced engine that is still not optimal. Cars are more expensive because they are more difficult to get now. The new K9 car is not a fleet vehicle because it goes home with the officer. There are 9 marked cars, 4 detective cars, 1 for K9, 2 for supervisors, 1 for the chief, and 1 for the school resource officer. Of those three have been out of service for a month waiting on parts. For the 2 requested cars, there will need to be equipment and installation at a cost of $15,000 each. Chief Ice discussed the need for cameras at Colby, Gindra, and Orlando parks for a total of $65,000. There is also a need to replace body cameras for $40,000. Randy Gerhardstein would rather invest money on repairs instead of purchasing new cars at this time. Chief said that the detective cars are 12 years old. The patrol cars were in 52 pursuits last year at 100+ miles per hour. They are driven rough and would like the vehicles to be safe for the officers driving them. If they are ordered now, they won't arrive until the fall of '23. Maria agreed that police cars should be replaced more often. Through the Law Enforcement Trust Fund, there is a request for digital fingerprinting equipment. It is essential because it sends images directly to the FBI. Our last order was canceled because the company could not deliver. They are now saying it will be 8 to 10 months for delivery. This equipment costs $5,000 and the balance of the fund, of the Law Enforcement Trust Fund, would then be $3,000. Everyone in the county uses the same imaging equipment. All requests were recommended to the Finance Committee, meeting adjourned at 8:48. Respectfully submitted.
The Committee of the Whole met on November 7th, 2022, meeting called to order 8:49. Purpose, the city website and deer calling. Present, Bella, Gerhardstein, Jaworski, Koski, Levon, Saludo, Thielman. Also present, Sakis, Ice, Formica, Strauser, Doles, Powers, Drake, Stop. Fire Chief Powers notified the committee that he had spent a couple of months researching website designers. His recommendation is a company called Civic Plus, which has plenty of experience in creating government websites. He provided a list of city websites in Ohio for the committee to review. The startup cost would be approximately $39,000 with an annual $17,000 maintenance fee. Councilman Jaworski did not agree with the pricing based on his experiences with his company and asked the chief if he had contacted any public or private businesses instead of government agencies. The chief replied that he did not. Jaworski offered to make some calls to see if we can find a better price for a website creator. This item will remain in committee. Councilman Bella informed the committee that he had been receiving calls from residents regarding the deer tearing up yards and almost causing automobile accidents. He was hoping that we could find a solution to this issue. Councilwoman Koski told the committee that she did research in 2009 regarding this topic, which included a deer survey and a quote for an aerial survey. Councilman Gerhardstein stated that we do not have a reasonable area to hunt deer. The only option would be Colby Park, and that wouldn't solve any problems. Councilman Thielman and Councilwoman Soto agree with Gerhardstein that it wasn't feasible. Service Director Strauser believes the deer population is being controlled by coyotes. The committee does not recommend pursuing a deer calling program. This item is reported out of committee. Meeting adjourned at 9:13 p.m. Respectfully submitted. Any commission reports? Councilman Jaworski?
Thank you, I almost forgot. The Planning Commission met last week, and they approved a request for a parking lot plan approval to operate separate businesses at 28940 Euclid Avenue in a general business district.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other commission reports? Seeing no old business, move on to new business A, life pack monitors, defibrillators. This was discussed last week and mentioned during Councilwoman Koski's safety report. That we have a chance to purchase 2 life pack monitor defibrillators at a price of almost less than $50,000, which is less than what it would be if we waited to the end of till next year. So I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, we purchase the life monitors this year, where we can get them at a buy one, get one free.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerhardstein, second by Councilman Jaworski to authorize the fire chief and finance director to purchase 2 LifePak 15 V4 monitor defibrillators at a cost not to exceed $49,226.80. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Ballard.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Koski.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Thielman.
Yes.
Okay, gasoline-powered safety vehicles. Councilman Jaworski.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. It's becoming abundantly clear based on a lot of announcements by automakers that there is a full intent to stop producing gasoline-powered vehicles. And I think for cities this should represent a big warning flag, especially when it comes to the safety of our cities, in particular safety vehicles. Things like our plow trucks, our police vehicles. I hesitate what would happen if we have to keep them off the road for an extended period of time, having them charge. Will it mean that we have to double the size of our fleet? To me, there's a lot of potential higher costs or potential safety issues. And I think it's something that not only the city, but at the county level, the state level, even Ohio itself, working with other states, needs to really start looking into. It's just something that I've spoken with a couple other mayors about, and I've spoken with our mayor about as well. I'm not sure exactly, what we need to do at this stage. I, before the meeting, had a chance to briefly talk with State Representative Serena, and I'll be having an additional conversation with him about that. But it's something that I think we need to start planning for, and maybe start advocating for, that we ensure that our safety vehicles continue to remain with technology that we know works, and that we have minimal refueling time to keep them on the street and keep them running as quick as possible. That's it.
Just your recommendation, is this something that you're just asking the administration to take a solid look at going forward? Is this something you want to put in a committee?
Correct, at this point in time. I don't think there's anything worth putting in committee, but just asking the administration, when they're networking with other elected officials, if this may come up, an opportunity to bring it up to consider doing that. I hesitate to think what our capital cost would be if we have to start purchasing double the amount of vehicles. That could get awfully expensive.
Understood. Any other comments or questions on that, Councilman Dillon?
In addition to looking at the future of electric vehicles, is that what we're asking?
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of communities around us that have ordered 3 police vehicles and then haven't been able to receive them because other communities like Cleveland or Toledo or Columbus are putting orders in for 50 or 100. So could we possibly look at if there's any type of group buying that maybe the cities of Wickliffe, Woolwick, Eastlake, because we buy the packages to outfit them separately anyways, I mean, just to get the vehicles, maybe work with Lake County too, if there's some type of way that we could all chip in and buy 50 vehicles at once. So at least we're a little more taken seriously. The problem is when we're trying to get 2 and 3, it's difficult. We're not high on the pecking order when it comes to putting those orders forward. So
yeah,
I don't know if Franklin and Bruno could help out, and we all work together and buy 25, 30, 40 cars here in Lake County, and then we pass them out like that. So I don't know. Just thinking of ideas.
Councilman Gerritsen?
Chief Powers, do you have any knowledge of any fire truck or safety vehicle of that size that's being able to run just by electricity only?
So there is one that I saw in one of the trade magazines. I don't know how effective it is. I haven't heard anything more about it. I think it was a prototype. Personally, I don't think it would work good. I'm sure Ron could speak to it because he's more a mechanic, or certainly you do. But the thrust, the power that we need for everything, it just, I don't see that coming to us for probably 20 or 20. The technology would have to increase so significantly because with a fire truck or even with the squads, it's a lot of power.
I agree with that. That's why I asked the question that I would think it would be hard for us to have an electric police car or an electric plow truck at this stage of the game. I understand electric cars are coming along, but I don't know if it fits into the police department or the service department for the amount of power it would take to run a snowplow or a cruiser for extended periods of time, or especially a fire truck. I don't know if that's even feasible with the amount of power it would have to generate.
Right. Technology is always changing. There's always possibilities, but I don't see it in the foreseeable future.
Thank you.
Councilman Jaworski?
And Randy, to your point, I think the problem that we may be seeing is these auto manufacturers don't care. They don't care about cities. They only care about their bottom line. And they've already announced what Honda has announced, that by 2040 they're going all electric, period. GM's made the same promise, and I think it's at an earlier date. That is in a way affecting what Councilman Thielman said. There's less gasoline-powered vehicles being produced now because of the emphasis on electric vehicles, which is hurting all cities. It's a major domino effect, and we all need to start working together to stop this, because frankly, I don't see these electric vehicles being able to hold up, especially in the cold temperatures that we have. Just saying. So,
Councilman Bella?
Yeah, so I kind of work for a plow manufacturer, and we talk to Ford, Dodge, and Chevy once a year, and we discuss, you know, what's happening, what's moving forward in the industry, you know, and they're looking toward us too to make, you know, plows more efficient. But like you said, with the cold, the extra weight, they just studied just with a F-150 that with the trailer on it, it lost half its capacity, half its lifespan to be recharged. So this is the thing that's going, like I agree with you, it's gonna be out there, but it's gonna be like 20 years from now. I think that's really, the batteries have to be more. Plus the batteries weigh more than the vehicle. That's more than the gas vehicle. There's so many batteries in them. So, like I said, we meet once a year or twice a year actually to discuss a lot of these, you know, electric vehicles, especially trucks. So when one comes out, I'll let you guys know. So I'll probably be one of the first to know. So.
Councilman Taylor?
Yeah, I'll agree with Matt in the sense that amongst the fleet vehicles, the police cruisers and mayor cars and, you know, all the kind of daily use ones, not the heavy trucks. There's communities all around Ohio that are already ordering electric vehicles. So it's certainly something to look into. And, you know, they're talking about, they're much quicker, actually, in some regards. They're 0 to 60s quicker and stuff. But what's the reliability? We don't know, you know. But I think Toledo just ordered 100 electric vehicles or something like that. So certainly something to look into.
Mayor?
Yes, I will bring this up in my next discussion at the mayors and managers, to all get the conversation rolling, just in general. But like you said, right, when Wickliffe comes for 2 or 3 cars and you have these big cities with 100 or so, we get shoved to the bottom of the list. But yeah, the electric conversation and that will be discussed at the next meeting. So,
Chief Ice?
So, group purchasing, so in a normal year, which we're not in because of the COVID supply chain, there's a bidding process that occurs at the state level. Like I think I had mentioned in the last meeting, we were talking about cars. The place I got the bid ordered 1,000 police cars, they only got 600. So when they order those, whenever we order our cars, we're on the list. So I don't know if like Lake County, if they buy 50 cars, they're buying it from the same list that we're buying our 2 from. I'm not sure if that's gonna help. I'm something to look into, but I'm just so you know that there's, the cars that we used to get them at a nice price. Now, no more.
No good prices.
But, you know, we used to get the Explorer, the Interceptor package. We used to get those for, just like 5 or 6 years ago, we get them for less than 30 grand. Then they went to like 34, and this year, 23, they're gonna be 45. So we've been getting really, really good deals up until now. Is that gonna return? I don't know, probably not. These are the prices go up, they don't go back down.
Well, even it doesn't seem like we're concerned about deals, but we just need vehicles too, right?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay. Any further discussion on this topic? Thank you. We'll move on to ordinances.
Ordinance number 2022-61, an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Wickliffe, Ohio to enter into a contract with Maroose Brothers Construction, Inc. for the Wickliffe 2022 sewer repairs project and declaring an emergency.
Suspension.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerritstein, second by Councilman Thielman, to suspend the rules of council and place ordinance 2022-61 on third and final reading. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Ballard.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Thielman.
Yes.
Adoption.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerritstein, seconded by Councilwoman Kowski to adopt ordinance 2022-61 as presented. Discussion, Councilman Jaworski.
Pete, when do we expect this project to start, and what kind of timeline are we looking at it for it to be wrapped up by?
The contractor plans on doing this over the winter. over the winter months and be done by April. So it's only gonna take, I'm guessing it's gonna be about 2 weeks for them to do the work. So when they get a good window of weather, they'll just come in and knock it out.
Any further discussion on the adoption? Councilman Gerritstein.
Just so everybody understands that this is for the sewer project on Park, when we're doing the paving and sewer on Park.
Yes, sir.
Any further discussion on the adoption? Sandy, please call the roll.
Ballard.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Thielman.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2022-62, an ordinance providing for the certification differential for the property maintenance inspector of the city of Wickliffe, Ohio. First reading. Ordinance number 2022-63, an ordinance providing temporary appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Wickliffe, Ohio for the period beginning January 1st, 2023 and ending March 31st, 2023, and declaring an emergency.
Suspension.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Thielman, seconded by Councilman Gerhardstein to suspend the rules of council and place ordinance 2022-63 on third and final reading. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Ballard.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Thielman.
Yes.
Adoption.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerhardstein, seconded by Councilman Thielman to adopt ordinance 2022-63 as presented. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Ballard.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Thielman.
Yes.
Resolutions.
Resolution number 2022-19, a resolution adopting and stating plans to implement the actions prescribed in the Lake County Multi-Jurisdictional Hazard Mitigation Plan and declaring an emergency.
Suspension.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerhardstein, seconded by Councilman Ballard to suspend the rules of council and place resolution 2022-19 on third and final reading. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Ballard.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Thielman.
Yes.
Adoption.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerhardstein, seconded by Councilman Thielman to adopt resolution 2022-19 as presented. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Ballard.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Thielman.
Yes.
Other legislation? Miscellaneous? I'm gonna call for a committee of the whole meeting for November 21st at 7 p.m. to discuss the city website. Oh,
I will not be,
can you provide your recommendations or any input before that meeting?
I will try. I'm not having some success right now, but I will get you what information I can.
Okay, all right, I appreciate that. Councilman Bell?
I'll be absent that day too.
Steve, that's fine, as long as Sue's on that committee first.
I believe everybody's on that.
It is all 7, so 5, only is 4. So, okay. Entertain a motion to move into executive session to discuss personnel.
Make a motion, and we move into executive session.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerhardstein, second by Councilman Kowski to move into executive session to discuss personnel. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Ballard.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Thielman.
Yes.
Okay, we will take a 5-minute break and meet back here at 7:55, please.